Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel of KLP Entertainment. Reporting live from our newsroom, I'm Arthur Brooks. Here's your sports news breaking for January 31st. The Super Bowl is upon us, and we couldn't have asked for a better matchup to close the 2022 NFL season. It's the No. 1 seed Chiefs against the No. 1 seed Eagles, a battle between two of the league's most explosive offenses, two of this year's MVP finalists, and both literal and proverbial brothers, with star siblings Travis and Jason Kelce squaring off on the field, and Chiefs coach Andy Reid up against the franchise that employed him for more than a decade. Most Super Bowls feel like a true coin flip, and this one's no different. Both the Eagles and Chiefs went 14-3 before winning conference titles, and both have showcased elite quarterback play with Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes, respectively. Betting against Mahomes and Reid in any circumstance feels foolish, but then again, no team has been as consistently well-rounded as Philadelphia. So which contender is our early pick to win it all? Find out below. Sprained ankle or not, Patrick Mahomes is unlike anyone else who plays the position. He is the Tom Brady of his time in the sense that he can never be counted out, except of course he also tends to be one of the most effortless athletes on the field at any given time. The guy comfortably led the NFL with a career-high 5,200+ passing yards, casually tossed 40+ touchdowns and then scrambled for clutch yards on a bad leg in the AFC title game, and not a single one of us batted an eye. His presence alone means Kansas City will be in this contest. That slogan has been attached to the Eagles' A.J. Brown this year, but no one deserves it more than the Chiefs' tight end, who is perpetually, inexplicably uncovered over the middle. Mahomes hasn't needed an alpha wide receiver because Kelce serves the same purpose at a different position. He could genuinely campaign for NFL MVP votes, the way he fuels the offense in tandem with Mahomes. No matter who Philly tries to stick on him, he's bound to make noise when it matters most. We heard a lot about San Francisco's front going into the NFC title game, and while DeMeco Ryans' 49ers defense kept the Eagles contained early, Nick Bosa and their pass rush failed to make a demonstrable impact. Jones, however, is a bit of a different animal, working his magic on the interior as a wrecking ball against both the pocket and run game. He'll be up against an Eagles front better fortified than the Bengals' makeshift trenches, but there isn't a D tackle with more steady push right now other than, say, a healthy Aaron Donald. Andy Reid's Chiefs powerhouse can move the ball through the air better than anyone. That's what happens when you have Mahomes and Kelce. But the Eagles are the more balanced team, proving they can win both ugly and effortlessly, leaning on both an old-school ground attack and new-school aerial assault. It's an embodiment of their own QB, Jalen Hurts, who has starred not only as a punishing, elusive scrambler but a vastly improved downfield thrower. The air-it-out version of Hurts wasn't visible in the NFC title game, but we know Nick Sirianni and company can unlock him. The most lethal wide receiver firm this side of the Bengals' big-name tandem, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, offer wildly different body types but similarly imposing upside as Hurts' top two targets. Brown has been quiet in the playoffs, but his combo of size and speed always commands attention, and he's due for more action against a vulnerable K.C. Pass D. Smith, meanwhile, is an absolute dog despite his thin build. The type of technically refined alpha capable of taking over a big stage contest, as he did at Alabama back in the day. Besides Chris Jones in K.C., there hasn't been a more fearsome front seven player in these playoffs than Hassan Reddick, who's up to 19.5 sacks in his Eagles debut, including the postseason. Mahomes may not be easy to neutralize, but the Buccaneers famously frustrated the star QB when they won the 2020 Super Bowl by collapsing the Chiefs' pocket. Reddick has that type of game-wrecking strength in him, fresh off a killer performance in the NFC title game, where he knocked both Brock Purdy and Josh Johnson from the lineup. As a bonus, he's not the only steady rusher in Jonathan Gannon's stable, with Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham and Javon Hargrave all entering with at least 11 sacks. This isn't as simple as comparing lineups on paper. It never is. And for that reason, it's hard to pick against the all-world contingent of Reed, Mahomes, and Kelce, which sure seems like the contemporary edition of the once Supreme Patriots trio of Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Rob Gronkowski. When push comes to shove, they often find a way. This writer fully expects Mahomes, in particular, to give Gannon's Eagles D more trouble than it's gotten in weeks, maybe all year, with slice and dice, dink and dunk action that prioritizes motion, screens and red zone trickery. The X factor, however, comes in the trenches. Both teams possess Pro Bowl caliber fronts. And both have premium pressure artists, Chris Jones in Kansas City, and Hassan Reddick in Philly. The Eagles just happen to have a deeper rotation. After absorbing 11 QB hits between his first 2 playoff games this year, Mahomes could be in for a slightly more frantic day here, and in that case, Philly feels a bit better suited to capitalize on a forced downfield shot, boasting handsy and opportunistic starters at corner and safety. Couple that with the Eagles' more consistent ground game, plus Sirianni's aggression compared to Reed's penchant for occasional clock management miscues, and we'll give the Birds the slightest of early nods. There will be no shortage of Super Bowl predictions between now and when the Philadelphia Eagles and Kansas City Chiefs kick off in Phoenix on February 12th. From the surging sea of sports betting talking heads to your local mailman, everyone will offer their insight into the big game, whether you want it or not. Sportsbooks will feed that appetite for analysis by posting the biggest menu of Super Bowl odds ever. And why not? We have the 2 top seeds in the AFC and NFC and plenty of stars on both sidelines, along with the most gambling-friendly landscape in Super Bowl history. I hope you like promo codes, because here they come. The great thing about Super Bowl betting is that after everyone has said their 2 cents and tossed their hat, and 15-leg same-game parlay, in the ring, Philadelphia and Kansas City will decide who is right and who is wrong. I run down the spread and over/under total for Eagles vs Chiefs and give my best free NFL picks for Super Bowl 57. Given the quality of these 2 clubs and the slim spread, there are enough cases for either side of that line. However, I do believe the market is a bit upside down on the Kansas City Chiefs in these first 48 hours of action. Before the AFC and NFC championship games were played, sportsbook operators were dealing with look-ahead lines for Super Bowl 57. Those projections had the Chiefs as 1-point neutral site favorites over the Eagles. And once the matchup was cemented Sunday night, a number of bookmakers opened the Chiefs as big as 1.5-point favorites. As we look at the line here on Tuesday morning, the Philadelphia Eagles are as big as 2-point chalk for February 12th. There are valid injury concerns for the Kansas City Chiefs, with a trio of receivers leaving the AFC title game with injuries and defensive stalwarts Willie Gay and L'Jarius Sneed also going down. Those ailments also fall on top of a bum ankle for quarterback Patrick Mahomes. That said, the bye week gives a 2-week break in the action for those players to heal up at their own pace and play on Super Bowl Sunday. What's more baffling to me, though, is the public perception of these 2 teams after Championship Sunday. Sure, the Eagles mopped the San Francisco 49ers 31-7 in the NFC title game. Still, San Francisco was playing with either 4th-stringer Josh Johnson under center, which was a disaster, or a noodle-armed Brock Purdy, who returned to action when Johnson left with a concussion despite a torn UCL in his throwing elbow suffered in the first quarter. Philadelphia didn't exactly go for the throat either, as the Niners' defense kept things respectable until they couldn't, playing 37-26 of action due to turnovers and San Francisco's offense being unable to throw the ball at all. It was a win, but Philadelphia shouldn't receive an upgrade for that performance, considering the circumstances. On the flip side, Kansas City shouldn't be downgraded for a close game against the Bengals in the AFC Championship, either. In fact, it should be the opposite. The Chiefs not only overcame those missing pieces to pull out the victory against Cincinnati and avenge a 3-game losing skid to the Bengals, but knocked off a team on a 10-game winning streak and one that was playing the best two-way football in the NFL over the past 2 months. And they did it with Mahomes visibly hampered by that ankle injury. There will be no shortage of analysis for the Chiefs and Eagles in the ramp-up to Super Bowl 57, with plenty of pros and cons for either side. However, when it comes to getting the best of the number, I strongly feel Kansas City +2 is a great spread bet right now. Not only is the market trending back toward Kansas City, some books as low as KC +1, but we're getting Mahomes and company as underdogs on the other side of the key number of 1, which is why I'm taking the points instead of grabbing Kansas City on the money line outright. If you can't get the +2, the +1.5 is also good, as this could very much be a 1-point game for either team. The opening Super Bowl 57-point spread ranged from Kansas City -1.5 to Philadelphia -1.5, with plenty of pick'em lines in between. However, shortly after those odds opened on Sunday evening, the market swung in favor of the Eagles. Philadelphia drew the early action from Super Bowl bettors, and the market moved to as high as Eagles -2.5. That early opinion is significant as we've seen that initial adjustment move toward the team that eventually covers the Super Bowl spread in 11 of the past 15. Last year's matchup between the Rams and Bengals did not follow that trend, as the line first moved toward the Rams, but the Bengals covered as underdogs. As of Tuesday morning, the market is settling in at Philadelphia -2 with some shops hanging -1.5. Mainstream operators like DraftKings and PointsBet are reporting heavier ticket count and handle on Philadelphia in the first 48 hours of action, with Philly drawing as much as 76% of the early money. The look-ahead line for this particular Super Bowl matchup was Kansas City -1 at a number of books before Championship Sunday. But with Kansas City playing in a close contest with Cincinnati in the AFC title game, and suffering injuries to some key players on both sides of the ball, as well as Patrick Mahomes playing through a high ankle sprain, the market isn't as high on the Chiefs out of the blocks. Receivers Kadarius Toney, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Mecole Hardman all left Sunday's AFC Championship with injuries, along with defensive standouts Gay and Snead. There is a 2-week window between those injuries and Super Sunday, so these ailments, as well as Mahomes' tender ankle, have plenty of time to heal up. Philadelphia ran through its 2 postseason opponents, most recently wrecking San Francisco 31-7 in the NFC Championship. That said, the 49ers were down to a 4th-string QB with starter Brock Purdy, the team's 3rd starting QB on the season, injured early and unable to throw the ball after his backup left the game due to a concussion. The tight spread is reflective of the quality both teams bring to the table in Phoenix, as the Eagles and Chiefs rank out no. 3 and no. 4, respectively, in Football Outsiders Team Ver metrics. Kansas City finished the year as the no. 1 Ver fence, with Philly close behind at no. 3. While the Eagles have the edge in overall defensive work, no. 6 Drawer, the Chiefs' stop unit has peaked at the perfect time, ranking no. 7 in defensive drawer since week 16. The betting success for these two teams, in terms of ATS returns, has been different. Kansas City is 7-11-1 against the spread on the year, while Philadelphia owns a 10-9 ATS record this season, including 2-0 ATS so far in the postseason. The over/under total for Super Bowl 57 opened as high as 51 points on Sunday night, and early action came in on the under, dragging this number as low as 48.5 points. However, the market consensus as of Tuesday morning is 49.5, with a few shops higher at 50 over/under. According to mainstream operators, the under has been the popular pick in terms of ticket count, with as much as 61% of bets on a lower scoring finish. However, The splits on the total in terms of handle vary from operator to operator, with some higher on over money and others taking in as much as 62% of money on the under. Both the Eagles and Chiefs have gone under in each of their 2 postseason outings and have produced more under results in recent contests, with Philadelphia on a 4-game under run and Kansas City going 1-4 OU in its last 5 outings. This total is on par with last year's number, 49.5 OU, but on the lower end of the over/under when measuring closing totals over the past 6 Super Bowls. That may be surprising considering the quality of offensive firepower on both sides, but we have 2 solid stop units, perhaps overshadowed by the achievements of their offensive counterparts. As mentioned, Philadelphia was among the defensive elite all season, ranking out in the top 6 in VOA as well as EPA allowed per play. The Eagles have an excellent defensive line that drums up pressure on the passer and generated a league-high 70 sacks on the season. The secondary protects against the deep ball with zone coverage and allowed an average of just 1.2 passing touchdowns per game. As for the Chiefs, much like past seasons, this defense has found its form at the right time. Kansas City has improved greatly over the past month, headlined by an aggressive defensive line that also drums up pressure on rival QBs at the 5th highest rate in the land. The Chiefs' pass rush was on full display against a thin Bengals offensive line, registering 5 sacks in the AFC Championship. Philadelphia owns a 10-9 OU record on the season but, as mentioned, has trended toward the under in recent showings. Kansas City is 8-11 OU entering Super Bowl 57 but 6-3 OU outside of Arrowhead Stadium. That will do it for our special sports news breaking on Tuesday, January 31st. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel of KLP Entertainment. Reporting live from our newsroom, I'm Arthur Brooks.